Now what we're going to do is take this opportunity to light the candle for peace. And at home, if you're ready and willing, I invite you at this moment or somewhere along the line to take the opportunity to light a physical candle. And here with us in the room today, I invite you to light a candle in your heart, in your mind, in your very consciousness, and know that the peace that passes all understanding is available to you right here and now. Brittany. Brittany Gilmore is going to tell us a little bit more about peace.
I will stay true, even when the lies come. My heart remains true, even when my thoughts don't line up. I will stand tall on each promise I made. Let the rest fade away. There's a peace far beyond all understanding. May it ever set my heart at ease. Dare anxiety come, I'll remember that peace is a promise I keep. Peace is a promise I keep. I will stay true, even in the chaos. My heart remains true, even when my mind wreaks havoc. I will be still, for I've known all along my heart's song. There's a peace far beyond all understanding. May it ever set my heart at ease. What anxiety fails to remember is peace is a promise I keep. And peace is a promise I keep. Love is peace to a restless soul. Peace when my thoughts wage war. Peace to an anxious heart. Oh, that's what love is. That's what love is. Love is peace when my fear grows bold. Peace when I feel enclosed. Peace when I lose control. Oh, that's what love is. That's what love is. I found peace far beyond all understanding. Let it flow when my mind's under siege. All anxiety bows in the presence of love, the bringer of peace. And peace is a promise I keep. And peace is a promise I keep. Peace is a promise I keep.
Brittany Gilmore. Thank you, sweetheart. Whew. And who do we keep that to? If peace is a promise we keep, who are we keeping that promise to? Right? You all may have an answer, and every answer is correct. And I'd like to add that the most important is that we keep that promise to our highest self. That we keep it to that calling deep within our soul to know peace in a new way. Right? One of our main teachings here at Unity is that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but rather we are spiritual beings having a human one. Right? So the world frequently gets it wrong, and we are part of the world, so we frequently get it wrong. We think that we are having this experience, and that our experience of the pain, of the struggle, of the battle, of the fight, in the overcoming, is what we're really here for. Whereas when you come at it from the idea that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, maybe the struggle and the fight and the battle is for us to not engage in, but to bring something else to. If our proposition is correct, and that we are spiritual beings incarnated in these bodies to have a human experience, then what do we want to make of this human experience? Do we want to wallow in the pain and the suffering? You know, and I love the phrase too, not mine, but you may have heard it, that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Right? We're all going to experience pain in this human form. Try and navigate life without it. We're going to cut ourselves. Our feelings might get hurt. We might hurt others' feelings. We might experience something that just breaks us on a psychological or a emotional level. But suffering is a choice to wallow in that pain without realizing that there is something more for us to do and to be. So this talk today is really not from a place of, oh, I've got this. It's from a place of, oh boy, is this lesson here again. Right? Because I too have been in this world this week, this last 2 years, this lifetime, and I'm experiencing in my own life, in my own family, in my own experience, the psychological and emotional pain of living inside of a pandemic, of grieving on multiple levels for all the people we've lost, that we don't even have time or space to even talk about, it seems. And that cannot be ignored. We ignore it at our own psychological well-being, peril, right? Our psychological peril. But we don't have to suffer to grieve. Grief for me is defined as an act of love. It's experiencing the separation, the seeming separation from something that we love dearly and have valued. And that is a ritual and a process and an emotion that is to be honored. I want to be really clear about that. And at the same time, to understand that we don't know all there is to know. Can you get that? We don't know all there is. and certainly not all there is to know. We don't know why things happen in this life. That's part of the human experience. People are going to leave us for a moment, for a lifetime, it seems, and they will no longer physically be here. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. But we frequently make that bad in our thinking, in our holding on so tightly to the belief that it's not supposed to be this way. 100% of your pain, 100% of any amount of pain you are feeling right now is caused by your belief that it shouldn't be the way it is. Think about that. Isn't that the definition of insanity? Looking at something that is and saying it shouldn't be that way. It's not so that situation's not supposed to be that difficult. That person wasn't supposed to leave. That person wasn't supposed to die. According to, right? According to a story that we've made up, that we've tried to live out by force of will, saying, no, this isn't going to happen. And what do we sacrifice by doing that? Peace. And more than peace, much more than peace, serenity. Serenity. Serene living. Peace is a word that often gets misused, but I love this quote too. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to cope with it. Right? Mahatma Gandhi. Because we can have a peace treaty, we can draw a neutral zone, we can have relationships where someone demands for something to be their way and the other person acquiesces, but they're not peaceful about their acquiescence, right? And we've all experienced that. And there's tension in the room, even though we're at peace, right? We have a peace treaty signed. So is there peace now? With everybody's got their guns in the back room waiting for the violence to erupt any moment? Serenity, for me, is something bigger than that. Serenity, for me, is about really understanding that I am not in charge. I am not in charge of how this is going to work out. But the one, that energy that I call the divine, and it would be really clear again about what Unity teaches. We don't believe that there's a God up there or out there or a God that's absent, but that actually the divine, the energy we call spirit, God, whatever, universe, is constantly active, working in us, in every cell and atom of our bodies, as us, in every word and action we take, and in everything and everyone here. There is no place, absolutely no place that isn't holy, that isn't filled with the divine. But what we have in our human experience is the ability to put blinders on, to turn our back to recognizing it, to call something bad, evil, wrong, troubled. And in doing that, because we are invested with this power of this human experience, we create it. We create the bad in our thinking. It's not supposed to be that way. They shouldn't behave that way. That's evil incarnate, when it is just a mistake. A sin, you would hear in traditional scripture, and we've talked about this before. Sin is actually an archery term. It means missing the mark. Oh, that's all it means, is someone made a mistake. But sometimes we, in our self-righteousness, and I speak for myself, can make someone else's mistake a fatal flaw. And when I make them fatally flawed, I step out of my own experience of their wholeness and my own wholeness. Because if they're fatally flawed, it probably means I am too. Right? And I've stepped out of the serenity of knowing and understanding that we're all just doing our best. And we are all divine in expression. And I step out of the possibility of calling them up lovingly. Right? Lovingly. Brittany was just singing about it, about how love makes the difference. And next week we light the candle for love. We're doing it linearly, but it's not linear, right? They're all intertwined. They're all part of the wholeness of what we would call the Christ consciousness or the Buddha consciousness or the angel consciousness, Krishna consciousness, that heightened consciousness. So, real clear again, Christ, if you got triggered by me saying that, is not a person. Christ is a consciousness, a way of life. Jesus of Nazareth's name was not Jesus Christ. His name was Jesus of Nazareth, right? And he had physical parents who lived and walked on the earth. And like us, he also had divine lineage. And what he expressed was the epitome, according to some scriptures, of that Christ consciousness. But he's not the only one who can do it. He says in the Gospel of John, this, all that I do and more you shall do. Right? In his own words, according to the Gospel of John, but that's a whole other talk. But I digress. We all have that ability, because if he came to show the way and to be the light, what good is it unless all of us can take the same path and be the light? Of what good is it that one person would come and be the only one who could express this wholeness, this divinity, this healing, this miraculous? When we know that the miracles attributed to Jesus in the Gospels are performed every day in every hospital around the globe. The dead come to life. The blind see, right? The hearing have their hearing restored. The lame and the sick walk, get up off the mat, get out of the bed, and walk out. But there's also something more. What takes away my peace at certain moments, what takes away the serenity of the moment, is my belief that this is it. I gotta get it right now. And as I shared with you last week, there's a poem by our poet laureate, James Dillett Freeman. He was a Unity minister and a poet. He also was the head of the Unity Divinity School. He's no longer on the planet, physically. But in his poem, The Traveler, beautifully scarred here, Marty, by one of the Hanukkah candles that fell over. Perfect little circle on it. There's a verse in the poem that goes, "Our life did not begin with birth, and is not of this earth. And that which we call death is no more than the opening and closing of a door. And in your house, how many rooms must be beyond this one where we rest momentarily?" This journey we get to go on is for us. Nelson and I talk about this all the time. Right? This journey is for us. So the conflict, the pain, the struggle is for us. And when we come to it with that understanding that this is just no more than the opening and closing of a door, then anything we face, a diagnosis, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a relationship or a job, is just a change that we get to be serene in. Now, trust me, there have been moments in my life this week where I was anything but serene. Anything but. And I get to choose again this moment, and the next, and the next. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being this human being on a spiritual journey. This human being on its magnificent, holy, marvelous spiritual journey.